Greetings teachers, good vibes from the Element Elephant. I'm here at Kahoot.com today and I want to take you through a quick tutorial on how you can set up and integrate this amazing app into your own classroom practices. It's a fabulous way to formatively assess students in a really engaging and amazing way that integrates digital technology. It's best for one-to-one device use, but that does not limit you. If you only have access to a few devices in your classroom, you can still use a lot of valuable tools with this program. So I'm going to show you how to set up a quiz, a discussion, something called a Jumble, and a survey as well. And then at the end I will also show you how you can assign Kahoots as homework. They're a lot of fun. Students absolutely love them. It brings out their competitive nature and you're really going to love the energy that it brings to your class. So come up here to the top right of your screen and click Sign Up if you're a first-time Kahoot user. And then you're going to sign up and use Kahoot as a teacher. Sign up with Google or an existing email, doesn't matter, however you want them linked. I'm already linked through my Google account, so I'm just going to sign in. When you sign up as a first-time user, it will actually bring you to some screens that I'm just going to show you in Google Slides because these don't pop up for me anymore. You'll say, let's go, and then it's going to prompt you to pick some of your teaching levels and your content areas or your interests. And you'll just highlight those in blue and click continue. And this just saves some preferences for you for when you go to publish your Kahoots. If you want to make them public, it will shortcut those things for you. It will automatically redirect you to a page that lists one of the content areas or interests that you selected. And it's going to show you some pre-existing Kahoots that have already been made by Kahoot-sponsored members. And these are a great way for first-time users to kind of see what Kahoot's all about. They can preview quizzes, they can see what the content looks like in Kahoot, etc. I will show you this in just a moment. But if you hop back to your Kahoot webpage, I'll take you through the search bar very quickly. If you click on My Kahoots, all of the quizzes, discussions, surveys, jumbles, everything you've made in Kahoot will show up in this list. I just have one today and I will show you, basically I just have it in here so that I can show you a demo of how a Kahoot works. And then if you want to define some public Kahoots, this is a really powerful tool for last minute, like, ooh, I ran out of time, I have 20 minutes left in my class, or I ran out of activities and I have 20 minutes left. Type the subject of what you're teaching in this search bar and I guarantee you can find a Kahoot that will save your buns and the kids will absolutely love it. So you can search for any type of Kahoot in here. If I wanted to search for the scientific method, for example, I could type that in and a bunch of Kahoots will come up. It will show you how many questions there are. Some people add pictures, some don't. These were all created by Kahoot members. The coolest part about this, let's just say I want to click on this one. I can preview all of the questions that this individual has added to this existing Kahoot. And then if I really wanted to, I could duplicate this for my own classroom, which is absolutely amazing because that is a super big shortcut. So I'll go ahead and click that. And here it is. And I can edit this Kahoot since this person was nice enough to make this a public Kahoot. I can edit this any way I want and I kind of already have a template for it. So if I wanted to edit his or her Kahoot, I would just come in here. Here's all of their questions that are already existing and I could click this little orange pencil icon and that would let me edit each individual question. Maybe I want more or less time. That's a lot of time. And maybe I want to add some images. You can also duplicate questions or delete them, and we'll talk about this time limit in just a second. So that's just a quick rundown of some shortcuts that you can use as soon as you sign up for Kahoot. You can also share Kahoots with people. So if I clicked here, I could share with a member of Kahoot. So if you have a colleague on here that is signed up and you guys want to give the same Kahoot, it's as simple as adding their email in there or their username, and then you can share it directly to their Kahoot page as well. So it's really awesome for collaboration. Frequently asked questions and support have some great info in there if you need it. Feel free to use those at your own pace. We're going to come up here to this purple new Kahoot button or new K exclamation mark button, and it will bring you to the 4 options of what you can make in the Kahoot application. Students will be able to download this app on their iPads or their cell phone devices, but if they're going to use a computer, they can always just come to kahoot.it in their browser and they'll enter in the game pin of whatever you have created, whether that be a quiz, jumble, survey, or discussion. It'll generate a game pin for you. They will enter that into their little prompting box here, and they'll be able to join your Kahoot immediately. So that's also a really awesome feature. So let's start by making a quiz. I'm just going to show you how to make one question, and I'm going to give you a preview of how that would look for students. So let's just call this the scientific method quiz. Oops, quiz. And it does require you to give a description. Most of the time I just hashtag like what it's about or hashtag science. Really, that's important for if you want to make it a public Kahoot. So if you really want to put your ideas out there and help other educators and you make it public, the more that you can describe it here, the better off for them. I'm just going to make this private for now. And then it does also require you to pick your audience. So you can do this for almost anything. Professional development, administrators can use this. It doesn't limit you. Since I'm a teacher, I'm going to select school. You can always credit any resources that you use, whether that be images or questions. And then this is really cool, if you want to add a video to start your Kahoot off, maybe you want to grab grab your students with an interesting hook, then you can add any public domain video here, and that will play as soon as you begin your Kahoot. This is also really great for when you assign Kahoots as homework, because students can get a little background info, or you could even upload your own YouTube video of some maybe flipped classroom material, and then they can take their quiz after learning what you have to say. So from there, I'm going to create this quiz, and I'm going to say, okay, go. But I noticed that I don't have an image here, and that's kind of boring. I know that mine is about science and technology. I kind of want somebody doing an experiment. This is a great one, so that it knows it's the scientific method quiz. And from there, I'll click OK, go in the top right corner. And here is where I can add a question. This is the same screen that will pop up for every survey question, every discussion question, and every quiz question. So I can say, you notice that the sky is cloudy. What step of the scientific, I apologize for the slow-down here, method are you using? Okay, and I can say, I'm just going to abbreviate here for quick pace. You're making an observation. Maybe you're making an inference. Actually, let's change this to conclusion. Maybe you're constructing a hypothesis, or maybe you're doing an experiment. Okay, and then I can also credit resources down here. And again, I can add any, this is really cool, any video, image, or personal image that I may have. I'm not going to do that for the sake of time, so I'll click next. And this is great because right up here, this big red banner across the screen, it won't let me go on because I forgot to select my correct answer. And noticing that the sky is cloudy is an observation. So then I'll click next. And here's my question. Now, if I forget to change the time limit, I'll tell you right now, I'm a high school teacher. And for any kind of level 1 or level 2 question, 20 seconds is... For level 2, it's probably just the right amount. For level 1, it is way too long. Your students, you'll start to lose them. So I like to lower this to about 10 seconds. 10 seconds makes you really have to think about it and select your answer quickly, and that's really what I want for the kids. So you can toggle this at your own rate. You can give them over a minute if you need. And then you'll continue adding questions from there at the same pace that we just did using this method above. And then you'll click Save. Your Kahoot is now finished. You can always go back and edit it. You can play it right away with your students, or you can share it to that colleague friend. This is my favorite feature. You can preview it. And so this is what it would look like, and this is the same screen that you'll see on any tablet, cell phone, or computer device. It'll just be larger or smaller. And your students are going to enter the game PID that you generate right into this code box. On your screen, it will look like this. If you have one-to-one devices, you're always going to choose Classic. If you only have access to maybe 3 or 4 devices in your classroom, maybe they're desktop computers or you just have a few iPads, then you maybe want to choose this mode because your students can circulate around one and they can maybe collaborate to give one student the answer to click on that device. This is also a really fun thing to do as well for team collaboration stuff. Down here under game options, you can toggle with all of these at your own pace. I'll just do a brief description. The streak bonus is if students start to answer more than 3 questions in a row correct, it gives them a point bonus. You can turn that off if you don't like that feature. You can also have it generate their names randomly. Students really like to pick their own names, so I tend to turn this one off. And then the podium at the end shows who scored the best 3 out of your class. And I like to have this feature on as well because I like to award dum-dums as prizes at the end. It helps kind of give them some motivation. And then you can randomize the order of question or of answers. You can do lots of things with this, so toggle with those at your own will. I'm going to click on Classic since I have one-to-one device, and then you're going to hear some fun music here in just a moment, and the kids love this. It turns something on in their heads. So your game pin is 26 for this one. Sometimes you'll have 8 numbers long, sometimes you'll have 2. There's our fun music. And so my students would come over here and they're just going to type the game pin into their device and click enter. And here's where they get to pick their nickname. And I am the Element Elephant, so I'll say, okay, go. And here I am. Now, for those of you high school and middle school teachers, I'm so sorry if you're an elementary school teacher and you deal with this. If this is a naughty name, all you have to do is click on it and it ejects that student from this Kahoot. They can rejoin if you're super nice, but just lay down those expectations ahead of time. I have gotten some really funny ones that have gone over my head as a high school teacher, so just be on the lookout. From there, you'll select Start. You'll see a list of all of your students pop up here, and you'll select Start. And here's our beautiful cover photo that we added at the beginning of making our quiz. These are simultaneous screens of what you and your students will see. It'll display the question first so they have time to read it. And here's the countdown of how many seconds they have to select the corresponding answer. You'll show your answers here. I know the answer, so I'll click. And it will give you a summary of how many students selected which answer. It also gives you an option to show any media that you may have linked to that question, whether that was a video or an image, and sometimes that really helps if we need to go back and look at what we were asking them in the first place. And then it will also put a check mark next to the correct answer. This is really lame looking because I'm the only one playing right now, but as you have multiple students playing, you'll really get to see a spread of where any misconceptions or student confusion may have occurred. Over on your student screen, they will either see a red or a green screen. I like to joke with them and tell them to flash the green screens if they get it right, because it just motivates them a little bit more. So if it's correct, it'll be green. If it's incorrect, it'll be red with a little X. It'll tell you what your answer streak is. Kids love this streak because it relates back to Snapchat. And then it'll tell them how many points they got. The faster you click, the more points that you get, but that's not always the best option because you really want to be careful when you read. And then it'll tell you what place you're in, and it'll tell you who you're behind if you're not in first place. So I really love this. It's almost like a guerrilla tactic to get students invested in their learning. Once the quiz ends, the podium will pop up with gold, silver, and bronze, and it will tell you your users who have scored the best out of your class. I tell them to come up, show me what place they got, and then I'll give them a prize from there. They have to show me this screen if they want their prize. And this helps, if you do it at the end of class, to keep students from packing up too early. And then you can click on Get Results. This is my favorite part of Kahoot. It will show you how your students did, and that's really helpful to you to assess their learning. And then also your students get to give you feedback, which is fabulous, so they can rate your Kahoot. So, I mean, this Kahoot was really lame, but if my student is really nice and they thought it deserved a 3, they learned one thing, they would recommend it, and they liked it. Okay, awesome. Thanks for your feedback. Now here's where you can come up to this button, and you can click Show Feedback, and it will tell you how your students felt, which is so important, about your Kahoot. And this can help, really help increase the amount of student engagement that you have with these. The next awesome feature I'm going to show you about Kahoot is the discussion facilitation. This is an amazing way to just kind of get your students' opinions maybe before and after discussing a topic. So my students right now are studying Henrietta Lacks. She was the donor of the first immortal cells, and they were the only immortal cells for many decades, but they were obtained without her consent. And so this is a great one to debate. I'm going to make it visible to only me right now, and then again, school, since I'm a teacher. This is a great place where I could put in an intro video if I wanted to find an intro video on Henrietta Lacks. Right now, I can go into YouTube and search for Henrietta Lacks. Oprah made a amazing HBO video on the life of Henrietta Lacks, and so maybe I want to play the trailer. So I can come and I can get the link of this YouTube video, and I could paste that right into my discussion. This is awesome because as the students are logging in, this intro video will play, and they will kind of get a taste of what we're going to talk about. I can add a video, or excuse me, I can add an image if I click on science and technology again. This is great. These are some cells dividing, and that would be perfect for talking about Henrietta Lacks. And then I'll click OK, go, and I'll add my discussion question. So I can say something like, do you think it was ethical to obtain, I'm abbreviating her name, which I never do, and then you can toggle with the time based on the thought process involved in determining your answer. If you look here, there are no check marks to select for a correct answer since it just is a discussion question. Students are free to add their own thought process in there. And so you can say, yes or no, or, elaborate on the yes, but, or the no, no, however, etc., etc. And then you can credit any resources. You can also add another image if you'd like to. You can add another video if you'd like to. And then you'll click next. Now, if you notice for discussions, they only allow you to add one question, so that's something to keep in mind. And then you'll click save, and we'll go and preview this discussion. If you don't want the podium to be on, since there is no wrong or right answer, then you can just deselect this option. And then you can poll a discussion from, maybe you're having two sides debate an issue and you want to do a team poll. I tend to like to do a discussion one-to-one because I like to hear all of my students' thoughts. So I'm going to click classic. And instead of that funky music, we're going to see that intro video.
About our mother, could this be true? What you don't understand is we didn't know nothing about nothing.
Scientists have been trying to get cells to grow outside of the human body, but they would always die until Henrietta's cells came along.
And so that video will play. Ooh, it gives me chills. I just love that movie. Until the end of that YouTube link, and then your students will have a chance to discuss what that video was just about. So no, I don't think it was ethical at all, and I'll select this answer. And it'll tell me what I selected. And then over here, it'll show you a summary of what your students think before and after maybe discussing a topic. This whole points thing is kind of a moot point here because there is no wrong or right when it comes to a discussion, in my opinion. So I think that this is this is maybe something that they'll have to look at through the Kahoot platform. But then again, I have the option at the end to show some feedback on whether I thought I could discuss a topic well or not. Students, their summaries of feedback will be able to be visible to you, and then you can save those results if you'd like to. I love to facilitate discussions, especially with an intro video. It's an absolute hook and a grab for student engagement. So the next thing I'm going to show you is how to facilitate a survey through Kahoot, and we'll click on the survey button. I had an existing one, that's why that popped up. And we're going to title this, so I'm going to stick with our theme of Henrietta Lacks. Again, we have to always provide a description and an audience. We're specifically talking about cells with Henrietta Lacks, so I can go here and I can see, oh wow, that's perfect. Henrietta Lacks talks all about cell division and mitosis. And then I can click OK, go. And then I can add a survey question. So if we're talking about the movie, I can say something like, do you feel that the movie was a good representation of Gila's life? And then I would, don't be afraid to give them a little bit longer so that they can think about their answer here. This is not assessing whether or not they learned something. This is assessing how they feel about a topic, a survey. There's no wrong or right answer in a survey. So you can say, yes, no. You can give those in-between answers. Yes, but, no, however, etc. And then you can credit anything that you need to. What's really neat is if it is an image that requires crediting from another place, Kahoot will automatically do that for you, so you don't have to worry about copyright issues. And then you'll click next. And here's our survey question. We can add as many survey questions as we'd like to. I'm just going to do one for now, and I'll click save. and then we're going to go and preview it to see how a survey looks at the end. You can do this in either team or classic mode, so maybe you wanted to survey a group, or I tend to survey one-to-one since it's your personal opinion. So I'll click classic mode. Cue that fun little music that we love, and then we'll type in our game pin. Select our username. Okay, go. There I am. Let's start our survey. There's our fun picture of mitosis to help kind of trigger some memory. Do you feel that the movie was a good representation of Gila's life? We can say yes, no, 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 no. I think it is. I don't know her, but I think it does a great job from the book that was written, so I'll click here. You'll see how many students have answered, and then you'll get a summary of their survey here. There is not an option for students to provide feedback on a survey right now. I'm not sure why that is, but just take note that that is not an option. And then after they have finished that survey, you can save those results if you'd like. You can play it again. You can star things as your favorite, or you can do a new game. Survey is an awesome tool for just kind of seeing how students feel about how you taught a topic. The last thing I'm going to show you, so here's a list of our quiz, our discussion, our survey. The last thing we need to make is something called a jumble. I absolutely love this tool because it really does require a lot of higher level thinking. This I love to use instead of movie worksheets. I love to just let my students watch a film, a video, or a movie, and then this is how I formatively assess their learning afterward. So again, I will title this Gila, since we've been talking about Henrietta Lacks. And again, select your preferences here. You may want to put that intro video again. It'll always prompt you if you don't add an image because it likes them to look pretty. And then you're going to add a jumble question. Basically what this is placing things in the correct order. This is why I love it for videos. They need to know how the events occurred in that video or movie. They need to remember that in order to answer these questions correctly. So I can say something like, oops, that's the wrong question. I can say something like, place the events of Gila's life in the correct order. Okay, so we can say, the students would have had to watch the video and know how the video, or know the order of the events in the video to be able to answer this question right. Again, credit resources, add an image as you will. Don't be afraid to give them a little bit longer on these jumbles. It does require a little bit more time. 20 seconds I would be a little frantic with, unless it's a very level 1 question. I think about 30 seconds to 60 seconds, depending on the abilities of your students, is about is probably the best. And then I'll click next. I can add as many jumble questions as I want to here, but I'm just going to click save and preview this jumble so that you can see how it goes. These are really, really cool, powerful things. Unfortunately for Jumble right now, there is not a team mode. I'm pretty sure the developers are going to work on making a team mode for this, but it is a classic one-to-one. This really wouldn't mess with anything. You could still have teams circulate around just a few devices in a classroom under the classic mode, and it would still do the same thing. This is where you can toggle all of these different settings. Remember, we talked about for discussions, you may not want that podium on. You may not want it to enable amount of answers correct or who your top learners were, because if it's a discussion, it may not have a correct answer. So that's where you can toggle those features. So we'll click classic, cue our cute little music again, and we'll type in our game pin as soon as it pops up. And our nickname once again. Oops. There I am. Let's begin. This is so cool. I absolutely love this one. So it's going to come up with your question first. Place the events of Gila's life in the correct order. Okay, here's your 4 answers. Here's where you need to order them. So they simply do that by dragging and dropping. So the first thing that happened here, and then the second, and then the third, and and then the 4th, and then they'll click Kahoot. I didn't get those in the correct order, so it will say incorrect. It will say so close. However, it does not award you partial credit. So this is one of the features that you would just have to recognize. You either get it or you don't. So if I don't order these in all the correct order that I have in the teacher screen, then your student will not get credit for it. So you can tell them they really need to know their content ahead of time. Okay. Then once it's done, you'll be able to see those results. You'll be able to save those results. If you have multiple students in here, you'll be able to save those results, and then you will also be able to have your students submit their feedback on if they liked your survey or not. Okay, and then you can show that feedback here, right? The last thing that I want to show you, you'll always click I'm done after previewing it. So here's our quiz, our discussion, our survey, and our jumble. Now the last thing I want to show you is how you can assign Kahoot quizzes as homework. So if you wanted to come and click on one of your quizzes through Kahoot, you can click on this challenge button. And this challenge button will create basically a homework assignment that you can assign a due date to. So if you wanted it to be due a week from the day that you discussed or watched a film, you can also set the time that it is due by. This is very similar to assigning a due date and time on Google Classroom, on Schoology, pretty much any of those platforms. And then you'd click Next. And then what's going to pop up from there is either a link to that Kahoot, a pin to that Kahoot, or you can share it directly with Google Classroom, which is a fabulous feature if you are a Google Classroom teacher. Then you'll click Done. And from there, that homework challenge is assigned. You can post that pin right to your, so again, you can post this pin right to your Schoology or wherever you assign homework from. If you don't have a platform that you do homework through, you can always just write this on the whiteboard, have students copy it down, and then they can complete that quiz or assignment once they get home. This is a great way to facilitate Kahoot outside of the classroom. So that's the last thing that I wanted to show you today. So I really hope that this tutorial on how to make quizzes, discussions, surveys, and jumbles and how to assign Kahoots as homework has helped you out. I think that your students will really enjoy the digital integration of this platform into your classroom, and it creates some fun, light, airy, gamey atmospheres that you're sure to have fun with as well. Definitely take the time to play in the public Kahoot search navigation area. There are some amazing things on there, and they categorize them by history, English, math, science. You can search for darn near anything, music, history, technology, movies, photography, and there is bound to be an existing Kahoot on that. If you want to share your ideas, make sure that you make your Kahoots public for other educators. If this tutorial helped you at all, please feel free to visit my blog at theelementelephant.wordpress.com. You can leave me a comment and some feedback, which really helps me grow as an educator. You can click this blue button in the lower right-hand corner of your screen to follow my blog and stay up to date on my latest tutorials and resources. You can also use this social media search navigation bar to find me on Facebook, Pinterest, Twitter, and Instagram, where I post great deals all of the time. You can also find my social media accounts down here for quick scrolling. And then if you'd like to visit my Teachers Pay Teachers store and leave feedback, I also post my tutorials here as well. So you can always find my tutorials in my store and leave me some great feedback to help me grow as an educator. Thank you so much for your time. Happy teaching and namaste.